I'll ring the bell.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone. We're going to sing our hymn of the month, I Know I Can, hymn 1015, in our Deale hymnal. This hymn expresses our theme of the month, embodying resilience. Before we sing our hymn, a note about word choice. The lyrics use brother and sister. For some of us, those words can feel a bit limited. Please feel free to sing what feels faithful to you. Perhaps hearing those words as one another, friends, or simply all of us. So please rise and embody your spirit as we sing our opening hymn.
Good morning. We are so glad you're here, just as you are, with all that you love and all that has brought you to this space. I'm Reverend Bret. My pronouns are he, him, his. Joining me this morning in worship are Reverend Joyce, our assistant minister, Lindsay, our director of religious education, Tim, our choir director, our talented choir, the Unicantors, and I realize I've never called you the Unicantors before. You have a proper name, not just the choir. And Linda Kimmel is our worship associate this morning. Art is overseeing our tech deck.
I'm the Reverend Joyce Palmer, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. If you are in person, do join us for coffee hour after the service. The board and finance team are hosting our hospitality this morning. If you're online, do like, comment, and share this worship service. If today is your first day worshiping with us, we are thrilled that you are here. Let us know who you are so that we can be in touch. I want to say thank you to everyone who's brought soup cans. It appears, based on our voting, that the Seattle Seahawks will win the Super Bowl tonight.
Oh, wait.
Welcome. I'm Linda Kimmel. We gather today on the ancestral lands of the Ho-Chunk and Potawatomi peoples, and we are humbled to be on this sacred ground. This land, this nation, our faith, and our lives are shaped by a complex history of oppression, freedom, resistance, migration, conflict, justice, and hope. From these legacies, we learn, grow, reflect, seek healing, give thanks, and strive to build a better world for those who will inherit our choices. We gather today for worship, and as we gather, we join in our sacred ritual. The flaming chalice is a symbol of our faith, a beacon of truth, and a fire for justice and a warmth for the soul. Avery and Emery, who are 5 and 8, will light the chalice today. Let us speak together the covenant of our church. Love is the spirit
of this church, and reason is its guide.
To dwell together in peace, to seek truth and freedom, and to serve human need. This is our covenant. Now let's sing together our chalice response song.
As we settle into our time together, we share our prayers of the people, the naming of joy and sorrow, the holding in hearts of those we love. We hold in our hearts all those recovering from illnesses and experiencing maladies of body and soul. May mercy and healing attend them. I invite you in this space to name those aloud or in silence who you are holding in your heart this morning. In the spirit of community, I invite you to turn to your neighbor and say good morning. Whether something lasts or not has nothing to do with whether it's made of stone or steel or wood or fabric. A house built of wood can be a monument that lasts for hundreds of years because it seduces people to live in it, to use it, and maintain it. Eternity depends on whether people are willing to take care of something. Today, we often build with materials that are free of maintenance, but no structure can be neglected. We need constantly to renew our relationships to the houses we live in, to our friends, to our own bodies, all the time, every day. Come, Let us worship together. I want to thank those who are teaching and working with our youth today. I know Katie Conrad and Sandy Campbell. Is there one other? And Kim, thank you. And I'll be with the youth this morning. And I also want to thank Katie and Sandy for continuing to provide childcare for our Getting to Know You youth today. So our story for this morning is What We'll Build? Plans for our future together. What shall we build, you and I? Let's gather all our tools for a start, for putting together and taking apart. Let's build a door where there was none. We'll build a house to be our home. I'll build your future and you'll build mine. We'll build a watch to keep our time. We'll build some love to set aside and build a hole where we can hide. A fortress to keep our enemies out and higher walls for when they shout. But you don't always lose, and you don't always win. So we'll build a gate to let them in. We'll build a table to drink our tea and say, I'm sorry, me too, me three. We'll build a tower to watch the sky and other worlds that pass us by. Let's build a tunnel to anywhere. Let's build a road up to the moon. Let's build a comfy place to rest, for we'll be tired soon. Let's build a boat that can't be broken, that will not sink or be cracked open. A place to stay when all is lost, to keep the things we love the most. We'll put these favorite things beside the earlier love we set aside. I think that we may want them later when times are hard and needs are greater. But first things first, let's build a fire. For we planned a lot, and now we're tired. It'll keep us warm like when we're born. Then we'll say goodnight, is all's all right. These are the things we'll build, you and I. Let us now sing our children and youth on to their classes with This Little Light of Mine.
Good morning again. I hope that you're subscribed to the Kairos, our weekly newsletter. Be sure to read it for announcements about upcoming events and activities. And Matt has a special, before Matt comes up, the bowling event that was scheduled has been canceled. There's not just a couple people signed up, not enough for a bowling team, I guess. So that is canceled. And Matt Mentz has a special announcement.
Good morning, all. I'm Matt Menz. My pronouns are he, him, his. And I'm here this morning on behalf of the nominating panel as we begin our search for our next settled minister. It's been many years since we've engaged in a search, and there are several moving parts here, but one critical part is to identify the members of our congregation's ministerial selection panel. Our bylaws provide a framework for this. They provide that the panel will consist of 7 members, 5 of whom will be elected by the congregation and 2 of whom will be selected by the board. Now, it's been a while since we've done this, but fortunately, the UUA provides some best practices. And to that end, our church will be reaching out to every household in the congregation to get input as to who would be well suited to serve on this panel. Now, last Tuesday's Kairos listed some characteristics of members who would fit that bill. Someone who is trusted across the congregation, someone who brings a perspective that helps reflect the diversity of our community that includes age, identity, involvement, and viewpoints, someone who listens and communicates clearly, someone who is connected to different groups, ministries, or generations within the church, someone who is known for acting with integrity, confidentiality, and with the best interests of the congregation at heart. Someone who works well with others, especially when opinions and perspectives differ. So over the next few weeks, please watch Kairos for more information, and please begin to consider who would be well suited in your mind for this selection panel, and be ready to respond when the nominating panel or the board reaches out to you. The plan is to begin reaching out to folks beginning in March. So if you have any questions, please reach out to the nominating panel, Chair Renee Mealy, Katie Conrad, Smitty Tata, Rich McKnight, or me. And on behalf of the nominating panel, thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Leah up from the Sex and Gender Justice team. They're going to tell you what they're doing. Okay.
Good morning. My name is Leah Gima. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And together with Jennifer Riley, I'm co-leader of the Sex and Gender Justice team. We meet the 4th Sunday of the month at 11:30, and we welcome new members and guests. We have a wonderful Wednesday coming up on February 18th at 6 o'clock in the sanctuary. It will feature a panel of LGBTQIA+ elders. So come, hear their stories, and be inspired. Today we share the plate with Howard Brown Health. Founded in Chicago in 1974, Howard Brown Health is one of the nation's largest LGBTQ+ organizations, supporting all aspects of community health, healthcare, HIV care, gender-affirming care, mental health, everything. And a network of clinics and organizations. Howard Brown Health has lost a lot of their funding during the Trump administration, so your help is greatly needed. Today, 80% of what is collected will go to Howard Brown Health. The offering will now be given and most gratefully received.
One important announcement that I failed to make was the new UU class, which is right after the service. Not right after. Coffee, have some treats, chat a little bit. The bell will be rung in Deale Hall, and then it's a great opportunity to learn, peel back things a little bit, learn about our theology and our history and our more about who we are. So let us turn our hearts to a spirit of prayer and meditation. God of many names and mystery beyond all naming, as we center ourselves in this moment among these people in these times, let us be at peace with our bodies and our minds. Let us return to ourselves and become holy ourselves. Let us be aware of the source of all being, which is everywhere and at the same time in each of us fully. Evoking the presence of a great love, let us fill our hearts with compassion toward ourselves, toward others, toward all beings. Let us pray that we ourselves cease to be the cause of suffering to each other, with humility, with awareness of the existence of life and of the sufferings that are going on around us. Let us practice the establishment of peace in our hearts and on earth. Let us share a few moments of quiet so we can each reflect on this mystery of life, each in their own way. Blessed be, and amen.
Our theme for the month is resilience. When I think of resilience, I think of the ability to push through challenging situations to get to where I want or need to be. This takes lots of internal determination, but also relies on help from other sources. Much like saving money for a rainy day, we can build a reserve of supports by contributing to others when our lives are going smoothly. I view our church as one of these sources. I participate and contribute when I can so that I have people to call on when times are more difficult. My husband and I knew we wanted children when we got married. After a 7-year struggle with infertility, we adopted a beautiful 2-week-old baby boy, Greg. All our families were on the East Coast, so we were on our own with this parenting journey. As Greg grew, it became apparent that he had some significant behavioral and emotional difficulties, making him a very challenging child to raise. When Greg was 1, I became pregnant. The baby was due in mid-November. We lined up friends to watch Greg whenever I went into labor. The only day no friends were available were Thanksgiving Day, which of course was the day I went into labor. I placed a frantic call to our former minister, Dave Weisbard. Even knowing Greg's challenges, Dave did not hesitate. He and his daughters watched Greg for 24 hours. It was such a relief to have a church to lean on in our time of need. Over the years raising Greg, we learned many behavioral management and parenting techniques to deal with his difficulties. Throughout this journey, we relied on internal strength and outside supports. We were resilient, but could not have done it alone. As a pediatric nurse and a psychiatric social worker, we were able to utilize the skills learned raising Greg to help build resilience in our clients. Gave us many gray hairs, but he also gave us empathy and skills to be better clinicians. He taught us that it takes a community working together to get through life. To me, the lyrics of the song Lean on Me by Bill Withers sums it up, and I can't sing. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm going to need somebody to lean on. Thank you.
We are climbing Jacob's ladder. I want to do the reading, you'll see why in a minute, from down here today. Quite a day to rip my mic off so if it's flopping around, I bent it up there. So we'll do our best. Yeah. This is from Cathedral of the World by Forrest Church, Reverend Dr. Forrest Church. This is what universal religion looks like. Imagine the world as a vast cathedral. The cathedral is as ancient as humankind, its cornerstone the first altar, marked with the tincture of blood and blessed by tears. Search for a lifetime, which is all we are given, and we shall never know its limits. Visit all its transepts, worship at its myriad shrines, nor span its celestial ceiling with our gaze. The builders have labored in this cathedral from time immemorial Daily, work begins that shall not be finished in the lifetime of the architects who planned it, the patrons who paid for it, the builders who constructed, or the expectant worshipers. Oh. Yes. Nevertheless, throughout human history, one generation after another has labored lovingly, sometimes fearfully, crafting memorials and consecrating shrines. Untold members of these today collect dust in long, undisturbed chambers. Others, cast centuries or millennia ago from their once respected places, lie shattered on the cathedral floor. Not a moment passes without the dreams of long dead dreamers being outstripped, crushed, or abandoned, giving way to new visions, each immortal in reach and ephemeral in grasp. Above all else, contemplate the windows. These represent humanity's many religious expressions of hope and aspiration. I'm going to spread these around and pass them around. Pass them amongst each other so that you can gaze upon many expressions of human yearning and love, aspiration. In the cathedral of the world, there are windows beyond number, some long forgotten, others covered with many patinas of dust, others revered by millions, and the most sacred of shrines. Each in its own way is beautiful. Some are abstract, others representational, some dark and meditative, others bright and dazzling. Each tells a story about the creation of the world, the meaning of history, the purpose of life, the nature of humankind, the mystery of death. The windows of the cathedral are where the light shines through. They are not the light. They're where the light shines through. With all extended metaphors, this one is imperfect. The truth shines not only upon us, but from within us as well. Together with the windows, we are part of the cathedral, not apart from it. Together, we comprise an interdependent web of being. The cathedral is constructed out of star stuff, and so are we. We are that part or known part of creation that contemplates itself. Because the cathedral is vast, our lives so short, and our vision so dim, we are able to contemplate only a tiny part of the whole of creation. We can explore but a handful of its many chambers, contemplate but a few of its windows. Our allotted span permits us to reflect on the play of darkness and light through remarkably few of these myriad windows. Yet, since the whole is contained in each of its parts, as we ponder and act on insights derived from even a single reflection, may we experience self-illumination. This is universal religion. Thus ends the readings.
Turn me around,
There was once a traveler who was traveling to visit a cathedral that was being built in a faraway village. Along the way, this traveler came upon a stonecutter. He was laboring hard, chipping away, looked pretty grumpy. "What are you doing?" asked the traveler. "Just tell me about your work." "I'm cutting stone." "What does it look like I'm doing?" said the stonecutter. So the traveler moved on down the road. He came upon another stonecutter. She was laboring hard as well. What are you doing?" he asked kind of tentatively. She said, "Oh, I'm cutting stone, but I'm building a future for my family, and I hope they have a better life than I do. So I guess I'm cutting stone, and I'm building something here for my life, for my family." That was a little better answer, he thought, or more satisfying, and he continued on down the road. He came to a third stonecutter, and they were singing and whistling a little bit and chopping at the stone. "Tell me about your work," the traveler said. To which the person said, "Oh, I'm helping build a cathedral. It's a place that people will get married in and meet at, and their babies will be blessed in this place, and I may never see the completion of it, but I'm building something larger that I'm really excited about." And with that, the traveler went on down the road. You're building. Obviously, we're talking about building this morning. The story for all ages, everything kind of is talking about building. And for the past few months, we've been building a history timeline together in Deale Hall. It was covered with brochures and Post-it notes and all sorts of stuff. In fact, I have some of the Post-it notes here in my pocket, and I thought it would be fun to read a few of them to start the sermon, because this is your story. And they were just so touching. Rain poured down. We were part of the rainbow at the first annual Rockford Pride Parade, June 2024. When I returned from Vietnam, my friend, a fellow veteran, gave a talk here. It was amazing to hear an anti-war talk in a church so warmly received. We came in 2011, heard Matthew speak on secrets. We were hooked. 1950s, all church dinners. Men's group ham loaf specialty. I have no idea what some of these mean, but I'll bet you do. Harold, oh, this is great. 1950s, Harold Johnson, choir director, carrying a large tray with a boar's head, maybe for a winter solstice celebration through the church. It's a church that celebrates the winter solstice. Came to the first service was a coming-of-age service. They were not only impressed with the kids, but they were welcomed by several people and immediately knew this was their home. I was invited to UU Rockford by a friend in 1975. After the first service, I knew we had found our people, and I didn't know I was looking for or needed people. Still here 50 years later. There's just so many. A bus trip here to Washington, D.C., to March for Jobs and Freedom, 1973. Just so many. The Ramblers, walking in nature. I have no idea what that means. Exactly, right? You know. You have already proven that you are stonecutters building a cathedral for the generations. You're already a part of its history, building blocks of Post-it notes. And as I close this first phase of our interim work together, where we explore our history together, I did want to spend a few moments this morning to remind us of that history. And so I want to give you a little vignette of this church's arc through the lens of hope and resilience. Our congregation, our history as a congregation goes all the way back to 1841, before the Civil War, when Rockford itself was still young. Religion in the 19th century was in a Precambrian explosion of diversity. The Second Great Awakening was coming to a close, and all these expressions of religious imagination blossomed. Think about other European countries. There would be the established church and maybe a protest movement, right? Here in America, this is what happened. The Mormons, the Jehovah's Witnesses, Christian Science, New Thought, African Methodist Episcopal, spiritualism, transcendentalism, the great ghost dance movement. These were all examples of what happened when Enlightenment values of freedom, self-expression, liberty collided with an American fervor for religious zeal. And then there was a movement which individualized free will, personal experience of God, and the idea that society could progress to perfection. Those were our roots. As Unitarians and Universalists at the time separately, we believed that religion could be liberal, that is, generous, curious, humane. Such Rockford residents believed in the inherent goodness of humanity, and they started meeting around town in homes, at the courthouse, through borrowed spaces. They waited for one of those traveling ministers who celebrated reason and compassion to come to town. They organized even before they had a building, before they had stability, before they even knew if it would last or not. What they had was hope. The foundation of this cathedral was made in the lives of people hoping to create and build. Do you think they imagined this? The early years of this association were fragile. Buildings went unfinished. Ministers came and went. Money ran short. Some plans failed, yet again and again. This community, refused to lose. Unitarians and Universalists, once separate, slowly found their way one toward the other, way before the 1961 formal merger, though. They discovered early that shared values mattered more than old divisions. We'll get that. Hope continued to grow during the years leading up to the Civil War, and this congregation became a place where abolitionist voices were welcomed, even when the stands cost it members, money, comfort. The church survived grief, controversy, internal conflict. It was, above all else, resilient. In 1870, after yet another rupture, something remarkable happened. There were some Baptists who had a minister disillusioned with rigid doctrine, and they joined a lay-led Unitarian congregation to form a new church, one without creed or some litmus test for membership. And they called it, here it is, the Church of the Christian Union. Very traditional looking, isn't it? You can come up later if you can't see it. They called it the Church of the Christian Union, and they dared to say that shared humanity mattered more than shared belief. That experiment flourished. It grew, it danced, literally. It filled its halls with music, learning, and community life. Resilience, it turned out, could also be joyful. Through wars, depressions, social upheaval, this congregation kept choosing engagement over retreat. Ministers led efforts for social services, sanitation, mental health, education, peace. When banks failed and salaries went unpaid during the Great Depression, this church found creative ways to keep the heat on, the spirits alive. When fundamentalists called them godless, the church opened its doors wider and invited local soldiers to come and dance in the basement. The pattern continued into modern times. Buildings were sold and rebuilt. Names changed and changed again. You moved here in 1966. Did you move here in 66 or did you build it in 66? Anyone? Yeah. Yes, that's good. Fair enough. Still, the congregation kept renewing itself. welcoming LGBTQ people fully, expanding religious education, expanding its understanding of what religious expression means, from humanism to the earth-centered spirituality that came in the 1980s, to all the different forms of being with creation. Then came the Great Recession, a global pandemic. Again, familiar questions appeared. Would this community hold together? Many have not. It did. Worship moved online. Now we're hybrid. Connection took new forms. Ministry adapted. When it's finally safe to gather again, joy returned, along with a deeper gratitude for one another. This is not a story of perfection. It's a story of persistence. You will notice, or maybe you did, maybe you didn't, that I took out all the names of ministers, of leaders, of buildings. I left out mostly the dates. It's not that they are not important, but the story I'm telling you this morning is timeless. It's a story of people who kept bringing in ministers, kept adapting to new ministerial models, kept gathering. This is our inheritance, not certainty, not ease, but resilience shaped by hope. You are a congregation that has learned across nearly 2 centuries how to close one chapter to begin another, and here you are again. This week I was in a training, an interim ministry accreditation conference, and everyone was introducing their churches, and my church started 10 years ago. My church was 50 years old. I got to say, my church was founded 185 years ago. There's kind of this gasp online, which is to say, this is larger than our own lives. I've told 2 stories this morning of cathedrals: the cathedral of the world with its glorious, diverse windows and the stone carvers. I love the image of cathedral building. There's a term in church parlance language of a cathedral congregation. In formal sense, a cathedral is where the bishop's chair resides. We don't have bishops. But what may be called a cathedral congregation is something different. To be a cathedral-style congregation is to be integrated into our community, to focus on being a hub and an inspiration for civic engagement, hospitality, spiritual refuge. It's to be known in your community as a place that is safe. It's not just a local franchise opportunity. A cathedral congregation stands on its own as well as with others, plays well with others. It emphasizes radical hospitality and creates relational partnerships. A cathedral congregation creates what are called third spaces, such as when we offer space for community-wide services, such as vigils or community organizing events, which we do. For lectures, like our upcoming spring event on dismantling white supremacy. For cultural events, like the art show that came to our narthex. It also includes porous spaces, where needs and resources are interchanged, such as our food pantry. All of this while extending a non-judgmental presence. To be a cathedral congregation for us is to intentionally make our message of inclusiveness, diversity, and personal revelation easier to find. So we have this space that is ours on Sunday mornings, and we have this place of third space where people feel safe enough to walk into a church that isn't their own, right? That's not going to happen just everywhere. And then you have porous spaces where goods and services are exchanged. A traditional cathedral is not a structure built quickly over months or even years, but decades. I'm reminded of the great cathedrals of Europe, which often took more than 3 generations to build. Think of it, those who began building probably didn't live to see their completion. And the grandchildren who finished these cathedrals were not born when the construction began. Or maybe it's not that hard to imagine in this church. How many of us helped build the original church building? How many of us helped build this structure? How many of you were here when this was built? Yeah. Because cathedral congregations are built from love and aspiration rather than scarcity, they are also usually things of beauty. This building itself is certainly an architectural treasure. I'm new to Rockford, but it is certainly the most beautiful building I have seen in town. There's something that strikes you as you walk into the narthex. See the beautiful Renberg window, which is known association-wide, by the way. Hear the beautiful music interact with the space. One of my favorite musicians, David Byrne of Talking Heads fame, has developed an expansive theory about how music and architecture work together. He posits that you can't just throw any old piece of music at any architectural space and expect it to move people spiritually. Tim and our unicantors have certainly mastered how music interacts with our space, from what pieces are chosen to how they are shared. This is an example of that we've not built haphazardly, by accident. There's nothing unintentional about this. And that is not necessarily true in a lot of church spaces. This is amazing. Now, since challenge is also a part of our tradition, after all that merited praise, I want to give us a word of challenge in the form of two questions. What would it be like if this glorious space were as accessible physically as it is spiritually? What if everyone, despite their mobility status, could move up here freely to the chancel where I am standing now? This, to be up here, is a privilege. I can climb the steps. Or what if anyone could roll up to our front door and open it themselves? I've watched people stand at the door waiting for someone to notice them. We are technically exempt, this is something you may not know, from the American Disabilities Act. If this were a library, we would have ramps, we would have buttons. But churches are exempt from the ADA. Do you know why? Because a lot of conservative religious organizations have leveraged religious freedom as an excuse to not do the right thing for all people. I think for us, it's not that way at all. I think it's just something that slipped by, right? There was a door once, and it broke. It slipped by. And this is an opportunity, especially during a transitional time like this, to go, what's slipping by? Who are we missing? What aren't we seeing in our space? When in 2027 my work with you is complete, hint, hint, if there were some plans in place to make this church, this chancel, our front door, things I'm not even aware of, more accessible, I would see that as a big win in the story of our church. Maybe some plans we had in hand to hand to the new minister so they can run or roll with the plans. I don't know. What do you think? We are not done building yet. We have more building to do. You see, ultimately, a cathedral congregation is a body of people who act and strive to be that inspiration for others, which is this congregation for your 185 years. And finally, I want to close. I've been astounded to hear that many of us aren't aware of this church's influence and reputation, not only within the Chicago area, but within our denomination, our association. I'm not just trying to inflate our pride here, but to spark a sense of joy and self-recognition. This church is known and admired for its stability, for its focus on justice, for its resilience, for choosing to do the right thing when faced with good questions. You're solid. You've weathered controversy, a church split, some past misconduct, vastly different ministers with all sorts of personalities and styles. We can be an odd bunch. Some churches get to know a minister and decide they want something new and different. You guys have like amazing amount of solidity. Incredibly long ministries, one after another. Some churches, I served one church, and it was, their entire history was like 17 years, 6, 17, 6, 17. Well, what's that about? You guys have had like 20 plus, just amazing long ministries. It's a huge indicator of congregational strength. I say this as someone who has known this congregation, all this. I've known you for decades. A reputation affirmed by the comments I've received from colleagues and denominational leaders and your past interns who have shared how much they love you. I've been told this more than once, that I better not screw things up here. I can't. Yes. All of this, your history, your legacy, your people, the outreach, the approach, all these things are the building supplies with which we build this cathedral church together, including this era and this part of your legacy. Take into your mind that initial image of a cathedral and all its pieces. Our foundation is the bedrock of Rockford, of community. Our walls are those who decade after decade have dreamt and debated and compromised, collaborated, built again, dreamt. The world needs us more now than ever, I think. Our walls, our windows and floors, without the mortar of the people's lives, your lives, to hold it together, is the story that we're building. This is often a critique of our faith, that we have no central story to hold us together. The root of the word religion means to bind together. And if we are building a metaphorical cathedral, what is the mortar that binds us together? Other religious denominations have a central story or a central figure. Ours is as diverse as the windows that you're passing around. Our story is that something like this can exist. Our story is one of people who believe that we don't have to think alike to love fully. Our story was started in the past but is being written now. Our story isn't about our lives alone, and not our future, but the future beyond ourselves. Our story is the third stone cutter's story, not the one who's just focused on cutting stone or about their immediate lives, but about people who envision something more for the world. What are you doing? The traveler asked. I'm building a cathedral where people will worship and praise, couples will be married, and whose beauty will remain longer than I am alive, to remind people of the glory of creation. We build knowing that this work is not for us alone. We build knowing that the work transcends even our lifetimes, even our individual beliefs, and will benefit those who we will never know. We build a church whose gaze and grasp extends beyond these walls. We build a church open for good because the goodness in our human hearts demands it. This is you. May it be so. Let us rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, 145, As Tranquil Streams.
Streams that meet and merge and flow as one to see.
Our real journey in life is a matter of growth, deepening, and of an ever greater surrender to the creative action of love and grace in our hearts. Never was it more necessary for us to respond to that action. May we all do so, and well may it be. Go in peace. Let us sing now our closing blessing as Linda extinguishes our chalice flame. I invite you to join hands. If touch is uncomfortable or private for you, just leave your hands where they are, and we will respect that wish.